Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So, we have some interesting things popping off this week of Assassins of Raido, and I think it was relatively worth talking about because not only did the story really open up, but we have so much more of an understanding of our main guy and the relationship that might start to continue to bloom further on now between the student and the teacher, which I already kind of could see it was going that way. They were just allowing it to not be the main focal point of his character. I feel like they didn't want him to be the character just like, oh yeah, I seeked out this girl and made her fall in love with me. That is my whole story. Like that already seems weird. And then to top it off, you make it so his overall story arc is kind of conflicting with hers, right? Like his goals, his ambitions, his things that he can have his things that he can have going well for him are now in jeopardy because he's working with that same exact type of person who can snuff out and destroy him, as we saw with how this week's episode, the main person who gets taken care of cannot be taken out by his means, right? Like he has ways of doing stuff, but like the guy knew in the first place, if he scattered his parts around enough, which kind of issues back to stories having problems and stories also making things understandable in the grand scheme of why these girls are important. So if if the girls didn't really hold any importance to you as the show was progressing, they hold a huge significance now, right? And he even kind of chimes in on it too. We're not especially told, what it is that he's supposed to go in and take care of. But now that we are not him, but that he wants his student to take care of. But as soon as the episode comes to a conclusion with the battle, anyway, I should say that when the battle comes to a conclusion, we know exactly what we know he needed his student for, which was to just use all of their mana, all of their power to pretty much snuff out any escape that this guy tries to make. And for some reason, somehow, he makes this daring escape, which was not going to be capable of being stopped by our main guy, our instructor. So that's what really kind of got me interested in overall what they were like dishing out with the character, because not only does he have these really smart plans of how to handle things, right, he also then takes us into a position where we didn't believe anything was going to be possible in the grand scheme of him handling this situation, because he said he couldn't, right? So it was already like either he had something planned out and figured out to take care of this, or he was just winging it. And if he was just winging it, people could have wound up even more dead off than the time when he was a kid, when we learned the person that the guy who took him in, the same person who's the father of this girl who took her in, the same way he took in him. It was really interesting to see, how he was going to handle this situation. This man had just used his sister. He had used everybody in this church, and when I thought about it, I'm like, man, he's really about to bop this father guy, like the guy of the church, the guy who was taking people in, the orphans. He's about to go at him, because I still thought he was the whole entire problem, but he wasn't. The reason why we could hear that monster, I call him, they call him like elopers or something like that. Oh, I pushed R1, I'm stupid. Uh, the reason why I didn't think about that, like, they show the backstory and they even want you to think further that in the thought process of, yeah, he's dead and gone, right? Like there's no possible way he could have made it out of this battle. And then, we're told differently. Like, yes, even after getting blasted from the, like, underneath himself and getting shot the way he did, and getting hit by Mana nonetheless, which is where I was kind of like, if he got hit by Mana and he got hit by Mana this week, doesn't that mean he's probably not dead? Like, it seems like Mana is incapable of finishing the job. But then you got to remember that these angels are the reasons that our main guy feels like he can be in danger. He can, put his type of people out of existence because she exists. Not because there's people like her, but because of her and, their lifeline or their family line, their lineage. So it's like he's not worried about all these other people, which I feel like he can bop like practically a lot of these mages, including one of the prodigies, his sister. So if he can bop people like her who are pretty like, whoa, this is crazy to see this happening to them, and he's clearly much stronger as a vampire than he is in his human form. It's just clear as day that there's something else they're still hiding with the power and the overall capability of our angels. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is just giving us even more understanding of the girls. Because think about it like this: he had a feeling that he couldn't take out this being that is practically the equivalent of the monster that he is, the half of the monster that he is, and then something else. So with two things that he knows are powerful, he didn't want to chance it. And by having someone of the descendant that seems like are going to be dangerous enough to be needed to be assassinated, right? She needed to be assassinated at the beginning of the show. For what reason? Why is it so important that why not assassinate the whole entire, like raid the whole place and take out all these mana users that could potentially try to take you out? No, just her. So that's what I'm hoping they kind of go into more in depth, because if they don't, it's just going to feel kind of lackluster in the grand scheme of her role compared to the actual senseis. And I think they know that. Like, the story seems pretty well aware that she should be important. She should have some type of input, some type of actual reasoning for being in this. And that would be good if it actually fits in and doesn't just feel like it had to be there. Because right now it doesn't feel like it has to be there. It feels like this guy could have done a lot of stuff because of where the story takes place. We don't start with her, we start with him doing what he does best, and that's attacking, assassinating, just fighting in general. And then the next job he's tasked with is to take out this girl that turns into something completely different. I'm really much so looking forward to seeing what pops off in all of this, if it is like a bust of a show, or if it becomes one of the dope shows that people are talking and clamoring about and comparing to other shows. I don't know, or it could just be a show that just gets swept on the rug. It was good, and people forget it. I don't really care which it is, because at the end of the day, it's caught me in a loop where I'm thinking about multiple things happening in the plot, and that's all I ask for in a story. If I can think of multiple situations because of what's been told on screen, and I did pick this guy who's like full vampire on SOULCALIBUR, but he's not half. But I mean, I'm thinking of the way he's been trying to fulfill this life to his student, not let alone he felt like he never was going to reveal the fact of his origins to her, from the way he was going to erase her memories, right? He didn't want anyone ever to know about these origins. It's what he's been giving off all the time. So how now does he change? How does his overall approach to stuff go when he has someone out there that actually does know about his origins and isn't afraid of him and wants to be with him in this, with that knowledge of it? So let me know what you guys are thinking. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I will be talking to you very soon with more content, so I hope you enjoy. With that being said, peace. did me dirty.